Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another presentation of Capital Football here on athletics.capital.edu. A beautiful fall day here in Bexley, Ohio. We hope that you are enjoying your Halloween weekend thus far, as we got ourselves a good matchup here between two teams from the Ohio Athletic Conference. One team is looking to stay within the top three of the OAC, while another team is still looking for its first win of the season, but they feel that they got a pretty good shot of getting that win, that being the Comets. Let's tell you about what the Comets did last week. They were at John Carroll. Blue Streaks have been having a very good season thus far, ranked in the top 25, right at number 25 to be exact. And it was John Carroll who ultimately came away with a victory by a score of 42-10. From the get-go, the Blue Streaks brought their A game. They led this game 21-3 after the first quarter. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that John Carroll was able to hit upon some really big plays, particularly in the passing game. They have themselves a standout quarterback in Joe Collins, and Collins had himself a day against Capital last Saturday. 17 of 22 through the air, 342 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. His top target on the afternoon was Brennan Few with 8 receptions for 176 yards, and 2 of those receptions went for touchdowns as well. Now, it wasn't a bad day for the Capital offense per se. Trevor Harrison-Ron going 16 of 26 through the air for 177 yards. Didn't have a touchdown pass, but didn't have an interception. The problem was his offensive line had a consistent problem of protecting him, particularly in the passing attack, as John Carroll was able to get to Harrison-Ron 9 times in that loss to the Blue Streaks. So, Capital is forced to move on from that game, and they have themselves a very interesting opponent in the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. Baldwin Wallace, routinely one of the top teams within the OAC, 5-2 overall, 5-1 within OAC play. They are currently tied for third place in the OAC standings with Heidelberg, who is also, actually I take that back, Baldwin Wallace 5-1 within OAC play, Heidelberg 4-2. So Baldwin Wallace in sole possession of third place within the OAC standings. Baldwin Wallace typically very strong defensively and a strong running attack, which we will get to in just a moment, but it's been a very interesting season when it comes to the play at the quarterback position. Now, of course, the quarterback position, the most important position on any football team, whatever level you may be playing at, and it's been Joey Marusik and Reese Waymer, the two guys that Baldwin Wallace has been going back and forth at that quarterback position. Marusik, a junior out of North Royalton, Ohio, which is about a 30-minute drive south of Cleveland. Waymer, meanwhile, he's a senior from Oregon, Ohio, which is about a 15-minute drive east of Toledo. Between the two, Marusik and Waymer, 13 interceptions have been thrown by those two Baldwin Wallace quarterbacks. Now, according to the starters that we were given, at least the depth chart before the game today, Joey Marusik will be getting the start, but don't be surprised if he falters, if he struggles. Don't be surprised if Baldwin Wallace goes with Waymer if Marusik is not getting the job done at the quarterback position. So that's one thing to keep an eye on in this game when it comes to the Baldwin Wallace offense. But when you're talking about this Yellow Jackets, it begins and ends with their stalwart running back. John Murray Jr. is one of the best running backs in the OAC. He's atop of virtually all the rushing records in school history at Baldwin Wallace. All-time leader in rushing yards with well over 3,000, carries with a little over 700, and rushing touchdowns with 40. It is going to be paramount for Capital to limit Murray, to make sure that he does not break into the second level. If they're able to contain Murray, They will give themselves a chance in this game because the play at quarterback for Baldwin Wallace has been, to put it kindly, spotty in some spots of the season. Yet Baldwin Wallace has been able to race out to an overall record of 5-2. So it will be very interesting to see what Capital can do in this game defensively against this Baldwin Wallace team. Meanwhile, offensively, we have seen glimpses. We've seen some glimmers of hope of some players that can really step up offensively. Maybe those guys will emerge today. At least they're hoping, as the captains of both teams are approaching midfield. Our head referee today is Nick Gregosian. He will be assisted by Scott Soa, who's the umpire. The linesman will be Kyle Resnanovich. The line judge, Kellen Eric. The side judge, Waylon Jasinski. The back judge, Chris Samuelson. And the field judge, Kyle Reliea. Let's turn up the crowd, Mike, and see if we can listen into. Actually, right now, Nick Gregosian does not have his mic on. He has flipped the coin. Looks as though that Baldwin Wallace won the toss. So Baldwin Wallace wins the toss, and they will begin with the ball. So a rather aggressive move there for Jim Hilbert. He is wanting his team to get off to a good start in this road game. Of course, Capital head coach Brian Foos has a connection to Baldwin Wallace, the former offensive coordinator of the Yellow Jackets from 2016 to 2018. This is a series that has been dominated historically by the Yellow Jackets. They hold a 40-12 series lead. They have won the last 4 contests in 8 of the last 9 meetings. Capital's last victory against the Yellow Jackets, that was back in 2016. And boy, I was there for that game. It was an overtime thriller. Capital ends up winning that game by a final of 42-41. The Yellow Jackets had a chance to win the game with a 2-point conversion late, but it was a fumble out of the back of the end zone that allowed Capital to come away with the victory on that day. Hoping to come out with a victory here today. Capital entering today's game with an overall record of 0-7, 0-6 with an OAC play. And talking with Coach Foos earlier this week, he could not stress more about the importance of his team getting off to a good start. This team tends to do a good job of settling in as we go later and later into the game. They get their sea legs under them. But it's those opening minutes that oftentimes this season has really sunk Capital. So Coach Foos is looking for a much better start to begin the game on this day. Capital coming out onto the field. Purple jerseys with the gray and white stripe on the shoulder pads. White trousers with the purple and gray stripe down the side of the trousers with the white helmets. Baldwin Wallace, meanwhile, white jerseys, white pants, numbers, brown numbers outlined by yellow for the Yellow Jackets, and the helmet, a white helmet with a white face mask with the B-Dub logo on the side of the helmet. Could not ask for better football weather. Not a cloud in the sky. Little bit of a breeze blowing here in Bernlohr Stadium, but otherwise plenty of sunshine to go around. I mean, it's shaping up to be an excellent weekend wherever you may be here in the state of Ohio when it comes to Halloween. I'm sure everybody's getting ready for Beggars Night, Trick-or-Treat Night, have costume parties to go to, and of course, you have football this weekend. What could be better? So Baldwin Wallace getting set to receive the ball first. Back for the Yellow Jackets will be Mikkel Love and Caden Bombach. Tyler Terrell will kick things away for the Comets. And by the way, it will just be me calling the game today. My broadcast partner, Jonathan Brown, unfortunately feeling under the weather. Get well soon. Mr. Brown, hopefully we'll be seeing you in a couple weeks for Senior Day. when Capital takes on Heidelberg in the last game of the 2022 regular season. Good crowd here today. Treated to some good football weather. Hopefully he'll be treated to a good game here today at Primort Field at Bernlohr Stadium. Terrell has the ball teed up. Love and Bombach back to receive for the Yellow Jackets. We are ready for some football on this late October afternoon. Terrell sends it skyward. We're underway here at Bernlohr Stadium. Taking the ball will be Mikhail Love at his 1, to the 5, to the 10, to the 15, to the 20, and he'll be spilled around the 25-yard line. Decent field position to begin this drive for the Baldwin Wallace offense. Baldwin Wallace's offense looks like this. At quarterback will be Joey Marusik, the running back John Murray Jr., who has been a standout his entire career for the Yellow Jackets. The wide receivers, Elijah Arnett, Jake Novak, and Vinny Lomeo. Left tackle, George Newcomb. The left guard, Nick Messenger. The center, Dominic Biagatti. The right guard, Jimmy Vargas, and the right tackle, Cole Bryant. So the Yellow Jackets will begin with the ball, 1st and 10 at their own 24-yard line. And into the game, actually, is Reese Waymer. Wearing number 10, he'll hand off to Murray. Murray cuts his way across the 25 up to about the 27-yard line as he is taken down on the play by Jesse Foster. The defensive starters for Capital look like this. The defensive ends are Jesse Foster and Ricky Scott. The defensive tackles, Jack Blaisdell. The linebackers, James Curtis, Quentin Gem, Marcus Ray, and Cyrus Burton. The cornerbacks are Quincy Edwards and Louis Hurston. The free safety, Chris Johnson. The strong safety, Tanner Wallenberg. Gain of 3 on the last play. 2nd down and 7 now for the Yellow Jackets at their own 24. Waymer will hand to Murray, and Murray will try to pick his way, but he is met by a wall of Capital defenders, chiefly among them Preston Sweet. He's a freshman linebacker out of Hilliard. So now let's see what happens here. A 3rd and 6 situation. As Capital so far has been doing a nice job of keeping Murray in check. Let's see what Baldwin Wallace will do in this situation. As Victor Ford Jr. now checks in at running back, taking Murray off of the field. A 4-wide receiver set. Waymer will be in the shotgun with Ford. Waymer back to pass, hurried, and Ford makes the catch at the 25, 30, 35, 40, and he will be dropped at the 44-yard line. Good pressure by Capital, but Waymer was able to get the pass away just in time as Victor Ford Jr. was able to pick up a big 1st down for Baldwin Wallace, a fresh set of downs for the Yellow Jackets. 13:10 remaining in the first quarter, just underway here at Bernlohr Stadium. Still no score between Baldwin Wallace and Capital. So now it's 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets from their own 44-yard line. And it will be a pitch up to about the 42-yard line. On the carry that time was Darius Stokes, senior wideout out of Canton, former Glen Oak product. And a change at quarterback as Joey Marusik has now checked in. So we saw Waymer to begin this game. Now they go with Marusik. Marusik wearing number 9 on the jersey. Waymer going with number 10. So Marusik will now set up in the pistol as Victor Ford Jr. continues to stay in there at running back. A 4-wide receiver set on this 2nd and 10. And the give is to Ford, and Ford with a nice second effort that time across midfield in the Capital territory down to about the 48-yard line. As the tackle was made that time by Cyrus Burton, freshman linebacker out of Tiffin. So now it's 3rd down and 2. The ball is spotted at the Capital 48-yard line as fans continue to file into Bernlohr Stadium on this very comfortable late October afternoon in Bexley, Ohio. Waymer back in at quarterback. 2 wideouts. He takes the snap. He'll hand. And it'll be a 1st down and more to the 40. Down to the 35. Out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. Boy, Victor Ford Jr. has been playing a huge role in this drive for Baldwin Wallace as B-Dub is able to pick up another first down. You know, we were expecting a lot more John Murray Jr. to begin this game, but give Victor Ford Jr. some credit. He's been turning in some good play here as of late, both from a running standpoint and a receiving standpoint. So, fresh set of downs for the Yellow Jackets, 1st and 10. They have it at the Capital 33-yard line as this drive continues. The snap and the hand to Murray. 30, 25, inside the 20, all the way down to the 16-yard line. That was a strong run that time by John Murray Jr., senior running back out of Cincinnati, Ohio, former Withrow product. 1st and 10 now with the Capital 16. The hand to Murray once again. No, it's a fake. And Waymer is able to keep it, and Waymer is able to get into the end zone. Touchdown, Yellow Jackets. Waymer taking a little bit of a bow there at the end. Thank you, thank you. And Yellow Jackets are able to get on the board first. Excellent play fake by Waymer on the QB option as he was able to dash into the end zone, and just like that, Baldwin Wallace is able to take the early lead, 6-0 with the extra point pending. On for the point after is Dean Saris. Saris, a right-footed kicker. Snap back, hold down, kick is up, and it is good. 10:48 remaining in the first quarter. Baldwin Wallace, 7. Capital, nothing. This is Comets football on athletics.capital.edu. Back here at Bernlohr Stadium, 10:48 remaining in the first quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 7-0 thanks to a 16-yard rushing touchdown by quarterback Reese Waymer off a beautiful QB option play fake. So now let's see what Capital can do here in response. Back to receive for Capital will be Aurelius Walters Jr. and Dom Glenn. Handling the kicking duties today for the Yellow Jackets will be Dean Saris. He is a senior from Canton. Attended Glen Oak High School back in the day. As the kick is away, and Walters will let this one bounce into the end zone as the ball will come out to the 25-yard line. Starters for Capital's offense look like this. At quarterback will be Trevor Harrison Ron, the fifth-year graduate senior from Canal Winchester. At running back, Drew Engel. The wide receivers, Eddie Thomas, Ben Zerby, and Aurelius Walters Jr. The tight end is Zach Combs. The left tackle, Tyler Schmeckel. The left guard, Brady Kuhn. The center, Damian Loya. The right guard, Ken Gonzalez. And finally, the right tackle, Garrett Anderson, the senior from Sonora, California. Told before today's game that a lot of Garrett's family is here in attendance today, and hopefully they will be treated to a nice showing. 10:48 remaining in the first quarter. Baldwin Wallace out to a 7-0 lead over Capital. And here comes the first offensive possession of the day for the Comets. The give is to Engel. Engel with some running room, 25. No, it was Trevor Harrison Ron that had it. Now the ball pops out loose. It was a fumble, but it was recovered that time by Jamal Wiggins. Boy, if Engel had actually kept that ball, looked like he would have had a lot of running room to work with, but instead Harrison Ron chose to keep it himself. And he's very lucky that he didn't cough up the ball that time. As it stands, it's a loss of 2 on the play. It'll now be 2nd down and 12. The ball will be spotted at the Capital 23-yard line. Harrison Ron changing the play at the line of scrimmage. 3 wide out look. 2 to the near side, 1 to the far side. Engel joining him in the shotgun. And now it's a give to Engel. And Engel across the 25, and he'll scoot all the way up to the 28-yard line. Making the tackle on the play for Baldwin Wallace is Dylan O'Donohue, senior linebacker out of Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. The rest of the defensive stars for Baldwin Wallace look like this. The defensive ends are Caden Viancourt and Jordan Smith. The defensive tackles, Frank Soka and Grant Davis. Linebackers, Vontae Jackson, Tyler Tobin, Dylan O'Donohue. The cornerbacks, Robbie Williamson and Anthony Kendall. And finally, Jake Hill and Alden Steele are the safeties. 3rd down and 7. Capital with the ball at their own 28. Harrison Ron looking for some time, and it's caught. Across the 35, across the 40, all the way down to the 42-yard line. A very nice reception that time by Zach Combs, freshman tight end out of Lockbourne, Ohio. He has really been coming on as a receiver at that tight end spot for Capital. And now with a little bit of up-tempo here, Ron taking a shot, and it'll be incomplete. And now a flag has been thrown. Looks like they are going to get Vontae Jackson for pass interference on the play. That'll be a 15-yard penalty, as Harrison Ron was trying to throw it up top that time to Bennett Zerby, sophomore wideout out of Bellbrook, Ohio. So far so good for this Capital offense as they're moving briskly down the field. After the penalty, the ball will be spotted at the Baldwin Wallace 42-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Comets. 8:59 to go in the first quarter. Baldwin Wallace 7, Capital nothing, but the Comets are moving the ball down the field. Engel will remain in at running back for the Comets. It's a 4 wideout set, 3 to the near side, 1 to the far side. Harrison Ron in the shotgun. He takes the snap, looks over his options. He'll float it out to Engel, and Engel not quite able to reel in the pass. If he was able to make that catch, boy, it looked like he had some room to operate, but it will go down as an incomplete pass, bringing up 2nd down and 10, as the ball will still be spotted at the 42-yard line. Some substitutions made for Capital. Lance Matthews looks like will be checking in at running back. Also coming in to the game for the Comets, Jamal Wiggins at wideout. Matthews will be split out. It's an empty shotgun for Trevor Harrison Ron. Man put in motion. Harrison Ron will throw, complete to Wiggins, 45, 40, and he will dive across the 40. They'll mark him down at about the 38-yard line. So they put Wiggins in motion. Wiggins, sophomore wideout out of Zanesville, Ohio, before coming to Capital. He was playing his college ball at Walsh University. So now, after the pickup of 3, it is 3rd down and 7 for the Comets. The ball will be spotted at the Baldwin Wallace 38-yard line as the Comets attempt to keep this drive going. Ben Everson in at quarterback. And Lance Matthews simply tripped over his own feet or hit a bad spot in the turf. Either way, that will bring up 4th down. So Everson and Matthews will exit. It's now 4th down and 7. The ball spotted at the Baldwin Wallace 39-yard line. This is what you like to call no man's land. This is nowhere near the range of Tyler Terrell. And at the same time, it's too close to punt. So head coach Brian Foos will elect to go for it here on this 4th and 7 from the Baldwin Wallace 39-yard line. Harrison Ron floating it out. Catch is made, and that will not be enough for a 1st down. Great tackle made by junior linebacker Vontae Jackson out of Cleveland as they were trying to set up a screen to Aurelius Walters Jr., but just not good enough blocking that time. Jackson's able to knife his way in there. Turnover on downs. Baldwin Wallace will get the ball back here on offense. You can't fault Coach Foos for going for it there. He was kind of no man's land, and maybe with a little better blocking that time, they might have been able to pick up the 1st down, but now it's Yellow Jackets football, 1st and 10 at their own 36. The hand is to Murray Jr. to the 40, all the way down to about the 43-yard line as the tackle was made by sophomore linebacker Marcus Ray II. He's from Columbus, Ohio. Played his high school ball at Pickerington North. Hard to believe that John Murray Jr. at one point was a quarterback at the high school level. But then he made the switch to running back, and since then has absolutely flourished. He'll go down as one of the better running backs to play not only at Baldwin Wallace, but also to play in the OAC. Deep shot taken, and that will be incomplete as the pass was intended for Darius Stokes. He'll bring up offsides will be called against the Capital defense. And because that occurred on a 2nd and 4, that will give Baldwin Wallace a first down. 6:33 left to play in the first quarter. Heidelberg with a 7-0 lead thanks to a 16-yard rushing touchdown by quarterback Reese Waymer earlier in the game. In at quarterback is Joey Marusik. He stands in the pistol. 1st and 10 for the Baldwin Wallace 48. Marusik is going to be brought down on the play. Jack Blaisdell, senior defensive lineman out of Hilltop, Ohio, bringing him down for the sack. Blaisdell has done a more than admirable job at that nose guard position this season for Capital. Great to see that young man knifing his way in there and bringing Marusik down for a loss. That's a loss of 7 on the play. So now it'll be 2nd down and 17 as the ball now backed up to the Baldwin Wallace 41-yard line. Waymer back in at quarterback for the Yellow Jackets. A receiver to each side of the field. He'll take the snap, play fake, gets a completed pass to the 45 as the pass was complete that time to Rocco Del Verme, junior running back out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. They're able to pick up a lot of that yardage that they lost on the sack. And so now it's 3rd down and 7. The ball is spotted at the Capital 49-yard line. Waymer in the shotgun. He's got 3 wideouts to work with on the near side, 1 to the far side, and he'll also split out Victor Ford Jr., the running back. Waymer takes the snap, surveys the field, looking, throws over the middle, caught at the 35, and taken down at the 33-yard line. Wide open on the play was Vinny LeMayo, junior wideout out of East Amherst, New York. Big first down there for Baldwin Wallace. Big conversion on 3rd down as well. Tanner Wallenberg making the tackle on the play for Capital. It's now 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets at the Capital 32-yard line. 3 wideouts set. And still in at running back is Victor Ford Jr. A man put in motion, the give. No, it's a fake to Stokes. Stokes lost the ball. It's loose on the ground, but Stokes is able to recover it. Darius Stokes took a pitch from Waymer that time, and he nearly coughed it up, but he gets it back. Nearest to the ball defensively for Capital was James Curtis, but Curtis was not able to recover it. So now it's 2nd down and 13, loss of 3 from the previous play, and the ball now spotted at the Capital 35-yard line. Boy, that would have been a big play right there for Capital's defense if they would have made it right there, as we're ticking close to 4 minutes to play here in the first quarter. 7-0 lead for Baldwin Wallace. Marusik back, and a lot of room for Ford Jr. Inside the 20, inside the 15. He's tripped up around the 10-yard line. Victor Ford Jr., boy, he has had a big game so far today. And just like that, Baldwin Wallace is back into the red zone. The ball will officially be spotted at the 9-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal for the Yellow Jackets. Ford Jr. has been having a terrific game. He's got a catch of 16 yards, and he's already got 3 carries that have gone for 49. He's averaging 16.3 yards per carry so far. Marusik will give to Ford, and Ford this time is bottled up, as James Curtis was able to knife his way in there, along with Ricky Scott, senior defensive lineman out of North Olmsted, Ohio. gain of 1 from the last play, so now it's 2nd and goal. Ball spot at the Capital 8-yard line as Baldwin Wallace is looking to add to their 7-0 lead over the Comets. Marusik, the junior quarterback out of North Royalton, in the shotgun in a 3-wide receiver set. And he will hand to Ford Jr. inside the 10, inside the 5, and he'll find the corner, he'll find the end zone. Touchdown, Baldwin Wallace. Victor Ford Jr., junior running back out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Onto the PAT, Dean Saris.
Able to find the end zone. So now Dean Saris for the point after. And the kick is up. It is good. 2:54 remaining in the first quarter. Baldwin Wallace 14, Capital nothing. Here on athletics.capital.edu. Back here at Bernlohr Stadium, 2:54 remaining in the first quarter. Good start for Baldwin Wallace as they've jumped out to an early 14-0 lead. Another rushing touchdown on the afternoon for the Yellow Jackets, this time an 8-yard rushing touchdown for running back Victor Ford Jr., who has so far turned in a very good effort. 5 carries, 58 yards, and a score on the ground. He's also got 1 catch that went for 16. What does Capital do here in response? Aurelius Walters Jr. will take it at the 6, 15, 20, 25, 30, and he'll finally be taken down at about the 33-yard line. Good return there for Aurelius Walters Jr., senior wideout out of Dayton. Played his high school ball at Miamisburg, and before coming to Capital, played at Mount St. Joseph at the collegiate level. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Capital at their own 32-yard line. And we talked about this in the pregame show about how Capital was wanting to get off to better starts. Well, once again, they find themselves in a hole, 14-0. They were down 21-3 after the first quarter in their loss last week to John Carroll. So an upward climb once again for this Capital bunch as Trevor Harrison-Ron keeps it, and he'll rumble forward. He'll push the pile across the 35 down to about the 36-yard line. Making the tackle on the play for Baldwin Wallace was Tyler Tobin, junior linebacker out of London, Ohio. Gain of 6 on the play for Trevor Harrison-Ron, who will now check out. And back into the game for Capital at quarterback will be Ben Everson, junior quarterback out of Zanesville. Everson in the shotgun, 2 wideouts to the near side. And it's a play fake. Everson looking to take a deep shot downfield. Might have a man. It is incomplete. Off the hands of Bennett Zerby. Looked like Zerby might have had a step on the Yellow Jackets defensive backs that he was battling with down the field, but not able to come up with the catch. So it's now 3rd down and 6. The ball spotted at the Capital 36-yard line. 2:01 left to play in the first quarter, and Capital trying to get on the board here as they trail Baldwin Wallace 14-0. Harrison-Ron in the shotgun. Two receivers to each side of the field. It's a play action. Ron trying to step up in the pocket. He'll now scramble, and he'll pick up the first down as he's finally tackled at the 45-yard line. Nice job by Harrison Ron, evading the pressure, stepping up, and then ultimately running with the football, picking up the first down with his legs. It'll be 1st and 10 at the Capitol 45, and some tempo here as Drew Engel rumbling his way forward up to midfield. That'll be a gain of 5 on the play for Drew Engel, a redshirt junior running back out of Lorain, Ohio. 2nd down and 5 after the 5-yard gain by Engel, who will remain in for right now at running back. A 3-wide receiver set. Trevor Harrison Ron barking out the signals to his offensive lineman. He'll now settle back into the shotgun. Man put in motion. Harrison Ron with the throw and trying to set up a screen, and the catch was made that time by Bennett Zerby as they were trying to set up a screen. He's about a yard short of the first down. Had to get it to the 45. They say that he got tackled at the 46. Coming into the game at running back will be Lance Matthews. As Harrison Ron will set up in the shotgun. Two receivers to the near side. Matthews still in at running back. And it's a straight-up run by Harrison Ron, and he'll pick up the first down and more as he will advance it all the way down to the 39-yard line. Tackle made on the play by Alden Steele, sophomore defensive back out of Lorain, Ohio, but not before the Comets pick up another first down. There might be time for one more play here before the end of the first quarter. 11 seconds, 10 seconds. Harrison Ron trying to get the play in, but it looks as though that run play is going to end up being the last play of the first quarter, and it will. At the end of one here at Bernlohr Stadium, the score, Baldwin Wallace 14, Capitol 0. This is your home for Comets football. Athletics.capitol.edu. We're about to begin play in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capitol 14-0. Quick scoreboard update for you from around the OAC. Heidelberg out to a 14-0 lead over Wilmington with 5:49 to go in the first quarter of that one. And John Carroll, they are currently leading Muskingum 10-0. 5:39 left to play in the first quarter of that one. Coming up in mere moments, Marietta will host Ohio Northern, and Otterbein will play host to Mount Union. A pitch. Aurelius Walters Jr. able to pick up some big yardage inside the 30, all the way down to the 27-yard line. Ben Everson signaling first down. You betcha. First down, Comets. So far on the day, Trevor Harrison Ron, 4 of 5 through the air for 26 yards. Everson, meanwhile, staying in at quarterback. Two receivers to each side of the field. Now a man put in motion. As the give is to Matthews. Matthews will run straight up the gut, and he'll take it down to the 24-yard line. That'll be a gain of 3 on the play for Lance Matthews, senior running back out of Pickerington. Went to Central High School over in the Pickerington area. A 14-0 lead for Baldwin Wallace thanks to rushing touchdowns by junior running back Victor Ford Jr. and senior quarterback Reese Waymer. Capitol trying to get on the board. Man in motion. 3 wide receiver set. Toss. Matthews will scoot inside, and boy, he'll take a big pop from Baldwin Wallace's Vontae Jackson. already has made a big defensive play, making a key stop on 4th down. So after the big hit by Jackson, they'll mark it down to the Baldwin Wallace 20-yard line. 3rd down and 2. Cap needs to get it to the 18-yard line in order to convert. Harrison Ron will be in the shotgun. 3 wide receiver set. Matthews still in at running back. Harrison Ron, play fake, throwing, end zone, and it's incomplete. Off the fingertips of Bennett Zerby, who might have leaped a little early that time in trying to secure a score there for Capital. So it will go down as an incomplete pass, and now decision time here for head coach Brian Foos. And he's going to keep the offense on the field. So it'll be 4th down and 2. Capital at the Baldwin Wallace 20-yard line. They have already tried to go for it on 4th down. They came up short in their first try. Let's see what they do here. Zerby put in motion. Harrison Ron will run it. And Harrison Ron, oh boy, I think he's going to be about a yard short. And indeed he will. A design QB run that time for Harrison Ron comes up short. So now Capital 0 of 2 on the day when it comes to 4th down conversions. And Baldwin Wallace will now get the ball back here with 13:09 to play in the 2nd quarter. Baldwin Wallace with a 14-0 lead over Capital, and a rather disappointing end to what looked like was going to be a very productive drive for Capital offensively. Back in at quarterback for Baldwin Wallace is Marusik. He'll be in the shotgun, and he is joined in the shotgun by Victor Ford Jr. 4 wide receiver set for the Yellow Jackets. 1st and 10 from their own 18-yard line. Marusik back to throw, looking. Pass complete to the 21 and up to the 22-yard line. So they'll give forward progress to the man who made that catch, that being Jake Novak. Novak, a senior wideout out of Oregon, Ohio. Oregon, Ohio, a 15-minute drive east of Toledo for those of you not quite that familiar with geography, particularly in northwest Ohio. Gain of 4 on the last play, 2nd down and 6. Baldwin Wallace at their own 22. Marusik will now hand Murray back in, and Murray's got a lot of room. To the 35-40, 45-50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, and he'll be pushed out of bounds around the Capital 15-yard line. Boy, he was this close to taking it to the house that time, and John Murray Jr. exhibiting excellent vision, turning on the Jets. Big play there in the run game. Big first down for the Yellow Jackets. And once again, Baldwin Wallace in business offensively as they have once again entered the red zone. It'll now be 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets from the Capital 12-yard line. The give is to Murray once again, following his blockers. And he will pick his way through the Capital defense across the 10 down to about the 6-yard line. So it'll be a gain, about 6 or so. Murray Jr. with 28 rushing yards in that first quarter of play. Now he's up to 94. And last long run went for 66. Now it's 2nd down and 4 for Baldwin Wallace from the Capital 6-yard line. Back in at quarterback is Waymer. And the give is to the backup running back, Victor Ford Jr. As he'll be bottled up at about the 5-yard line, so give him about a gain of 1 on that play. Now, an important 3rd down here, really for both teams. For Baldwin Wallace, you have a chance to really blow this game wide open at the beginning of this game. Meanwhile, for Capital, you are needing a defensive stop in the worst way. So now it's 3rd down and 2. Ball spot at the Capital 5-yard line. Waymer in the pistol. He'll hand to Ford Jr., and he's got nowhere to go. He was swarmed that time, Ford Jr. was. Leading the charge defensively was Diamante Sally, freshman free safety out of Columbus.
40, Diamante Sally. 49, Cyrus.
Went to Eastmore Academy, which of course is known for being the alma mater of former two-time Heisman Trophy winner Archie Griffin. Eastmore Academy, solid football program here in the Columbus area. Meantime, a field goal attempt here for Dean Saris. Kick is up, and it is good. So Baldwin Wallace settles for 3. 10 minutes to play in the second quarter. It's Baldwin Wallace 17, Capital 0 on athletics.capital.edu. Ten minutes to play in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 17-0. I'm Charlie Dana. So glad that we could have you along for the ride. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful fall weather wherever you may be here in the state of Ohio. And a happy Halloween to all of you that may be listening to our game not only here in the state of Ohio, but nationwide, in some cases worldwide. As the kick is away, and it'll trickle into the end zone. This will be a touchback as the ball will come out to the 25-yard line. 29-yard field goal for Dean Saris, the latest scoring play for the Yellow Jackets, who have been doing a very nice job on the offensive side of the ball. And so far, their quarterbacks have come up really big in this game as well. Reese Waymer, 3 for 3 through the air for 43 yards. Haven't had a lot of throwing from Marusik. He's only gone 2 of 2 for 4 yards, but they've kept the offense moving. In the meantime, boy, this run game for the Yellow Jackets has been phenomenal. Murray, 6 carries for 100 yards, and Ford Jr., 57 yards, I should say, rushing to go along with the score. Meanwhile, 1st and 10 for Capital. Little trickeration as Zerby doesn't have anybody downfield. He'll ultimately be tackled at the 30-yard line. He was looking to throw the ball that time, but everybody was covered downfield. So he does the smart thing and tries to pick up as much yardage as he can on the ground. It'll go as a gain of 5 on the play, as the ball will be spotted at the Capital 30-yard line. Actually, they'll say it's a 4-yard gain, excuse me. 5-yard gain.
Gain of 5, 2nd and 5.
Second down and 5. Capital with the ball at their own 30-yard line. Jonathan Williams in at running back for the Comets. And Williams with the carry, and boy, he is met with an avalanche of white jerseys that time. First one to get him on that play was Grant Davis, sophomore defensive lineman out of Ottawa Hills, Ohio.
Rashid with the stop along with 58. Frank Sukup.
So now it's 3rd down and 6 for Capital from their own 29-yard line. And boy, if nothing else, Capital is needing to just string some plays together, keep drives moving. At the very least, you want to be able to give your defense a chance to breathe, because Baldwin Wallace has been moving the ball down the field, particularly with that strong run game. Harrison Ron, back to pass, over the middle, and it's incomplete. Getting a hand on the ball that time was Jamal Wiggins, but Jamal not able to reel it in for the Comets. And now Capital will be forced to punt the football away. A 3-and-out for Capital on this latest offensive possession. And now, for the first time today, we get to see Jake Hill return punts. He's back deep for Baldwin Wallace. Senior defensive back out of Wesley Chapel, Florida. Terrell gets it away. A high wobbler, and it will be taken and fair caught at about the 37-yard line.
Fair catch by Jake Hill inside the 40.
So the fair catch made as Baldwin Wallace's offense comes back onto the field. And so far the team statistics, boy, just by looking at these, you know that Baldwin Wallace has been playing a good game so far. Yellow Jackets already rolling up 163 yards on the ground alone. They'll have it first and 10 at their own 37-yard line. 8:18 to play in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 17-0 lead. And now it's a run up the middle across the 40 down to about the 43-yard line.
Number 4,
DJ Griffiths becomes the third running back that we have seen in this game for Baldwin Wallace. Griffiths, a senior out of Euclid, Ohio. Gain of 6, so now it's 2nd down and 4. Pass complete to the 45, all the way down to the 49-yard line. Andrew Bortz, the senior wideout out of Madison, Ohio, making the catch, and that's enough for a Baldwin Wallace first down. So the Yellow Jackets mixing it up with their play calling and also with all the little chess pieces that they have on offense. We've seen 3 different running backs, and also 2 different quarterbacks between Marusic and Waymer. Marusic is in there right now. He'll take the snap. Back to pass. He'll heave it. Downfield, it is caught inside the 15, all the way down to the 8-yard line. Tremendous catch that time by Vinny LeMayo, the junior wideout out of East Amherst, New York. And once again, Baldwin Wallace is in the red zone. You could not have dropped that ball more beautifully over the shoulder of your intended wideout that time, and it now sets Baldwin Wallace up beautifully here. First and goal from the 8-yard line. Marusic will hand, and this will be a run play, and this will be another score for Baldwin Wallace. DJ Griffiths picked his way through the defense, saw an opening, and finds pay dirt. Touchdown, Yellow Jackets. And this onslaught by Baldwin Wallace continues. With that latest score, 23-0, with the extra point pending. Dinosaurus has been very solid kicking the football for Baldwin Wallace today. He's got a field goal under his belt this afternoon and has made every single extra point. Can he keep it going here? Snap back, hold down, kick is on the way. It is up, and it is good. 6:58 to play in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital 0. Here on athletics.capital.edu. Well, the standout day for the Baldwin Wallace rushing offense continues. The latest man to find the end zone via a run play, DJ Griffiths. Able to run it in from 8 yards out, and the lead continues to expand for Baldwin Wallace. The Yellow Jackets now leading the Comets 24-0 with 6:58 left to play in the first half.
Tom Glenn and Aurelius Walters Jr. back deep for the Comets.
Tom Glenn and Aurelius Walters Jr. back to receive for the Comets, who need a response in the worst way. Kick is away. Walters will let this one bounce, and it will go out of bounds around the 2-yard line.
Kick out of bounds, a flag on the field.
Well, maybe this is the opening that Capital has been waiting for, as they will be getting great field position after the illegal procedure here by the Baldwin Wallace kicking team. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. And let's see if Capital's offense can finally get it into gear. They have gone 0 of 2 on 4th down conversions. They've had a hard time getting any rhythm going on that side of the ball, but maybe it changes on this possession here. 1st and 10 for Capital from their own 35-yard line. Trevor Harrison-Ron in the pistol. Jonathan Williams in at running back. And 3 wideouts to work with. Play fake, and it is batted down, incomplete. The intended target on the play was E.J. Orman, but the ball never got to him. It was batted down at the line of scrimmage. Jackson was the one who knocks it down for the Yellow Jackets. So now it's 2nd down and 10 following the incomplete pass. And Ben Everson is back in at quarterback for Capital. Second and 10, ball spot at the Capital 35. Walters put in motion. The give is, no, it's a fake. Pitch to Walters as Everson took a big shot right there. Walters is ultimately taken down at about the 38-yard line. So it'll only be a gain of about 3. Sets up a 3rd and 7 for Capital as we tick under 6:40 to play in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital nothing.
3rd down and 7.
Trevor Harrison-Ron waiting for some players to get out onto the field. Justin McClellan will check in at tight end. And now a timeout's going to be taken by Capital. We'll take a timeout as well. 6:10 remain in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital 0. Here on athletics.capital.edu. 6:10 remaining in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital nothing. 3rd and 7 for the Comets from their own 38-yard line following the timeout. 4 wide receiver set. Harrison-Ron back to throw, and he will be taken down at about the 35-yard line. Knifing his way there, making the sack for Baldwin Wallace is Jordan Smith, junior defensive lineman out of Paynesville, Ohio. And that offensive drive will end in disappointment right there for the Comets. Back to receive on the punt here for Baldwin Wallace will be Jake Hill. Last time he received a punt, he fair caught it. Staying at his own 28. Terrell got hit. Flags are flying. And the ball will bounce inside the 35 all the way down to the 33. But now, let's see what they call here.
Personal foul, roughing the skipper. On the defense, number 1, 15-yard penalty for the previous automatic first down.
So how about that, roughing the kicker? Terrell got roughed up big time on that punt. So new life given to Capital's offense here, as they will have a fresh set of downs, and the Baldwin Wallace defense will be forced to come back onto the field. 1st and 10 at midfield with 5:19 to play in the first half. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital nothing. The Comets trying to get on the board here. before the end of the half. Harrison Ron in the shotgun and a 3 wide receiver set. And it'll be a run play across the 50 up to the 48-yard line. As checking into the game for the first time today is Troy McClary, the freshman out of Punta Gorda, Florida. And we've seen this young man flash a time or two during the season. Talked about him with Coach Foos earlier in the week, and very excited about the potential of McClary. Needs to get that guy into the weight room, and Coach Foos is convinced that once he puts that work into the weight room and continues to train, he's going to be a good football player for the purple and white. So after the gain of 2 on the last play, it's 2nd down and 8. Capital now at the Baldwin Wallace 48-yard line. Harrison Ron will pitch to McClary. McClary nearly trips, regains his composure, but is taken down at the 48-yard line, so right back at the line of scrimmage that time. Tackle made on the play by Baldwin Wallace's Alden Steele. So now it's 3rd down and 8. The ball still spotted at the Baldwin Wallace 48 as we are rapidly approaching 4 minutes to play here in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital nothing. Trevor Harrison Ron getting the play in from the Capital sideline. Coming into the game for the Comets, Jamal Wiggins. He'll check in at wide receiver. And Jonathan Williams in at tailback. Back to pass, Harrison Ron trying to get out of trouble. And he is ultimately taken down at the 44. He evaded the initial pressure, but then Jonathan Dixon was able to bring him down defensively. Dixon, a linebacker. And now Capital will punt the football. Some fans here at Bernlohr Stadium imploring Coach Foos to go for it here, but I think this is the correct decision right here as Capital will attempt to pin Baldwin Wallace back deep. Standing at his own 9-yard line is Jake Hill. Terrell will get the ball away. It will hit at the 16, and it is a return up to the 20-yard line. Boy, it looked like a blatant push in the back right there. Trying to cover on the play for Capital was Josh Cucker, a freshman out of Blacklick, Ohio.
After the play ended, unsportsmanlike conduct, Baldwin Wallace, number 11. This is his first unsportsmanlike penalty.
Wow, and how about that? An unsportsmanlike penalty called against Baldwin Wallace's Jake Hill on that previous play. So this will be by far the worst field position to begin an offensive drive for Baldwin Wallace on the afternoon. They'll have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line. 2:56 to play here in the first half. Baldwin Wallace already with a sizable advantage, 24-0. They got all 3 of their timeouts here, so they got plenty of time, plenty of ample chances here to add to their lead before the end of the half. Waymer back in at running back. John Murray Jr. trying to find some room. And he is stretched out, able to go forward to about the 13-yard line that time. Murray, a very patient runner, lets his blocks get set up before he blasts through the hole that time. And that's a pickup of 3 on the play for Murray Jr., who has already gone over 100 yards rushing. Actually, he's right at, but yep, that would put him at about 103 after that 3-yard game. 2:20 and counting here in the first half. Baldwin Wallace up big, 24-0. As the give to one of the wideouts, it looks like. That was number 87, Caden Bombach. Bombach, a sophomore wideout out of Vermillion, Ohio. And that'll be enough for a Baldwin Wallace first down as he takes it to the 20-yard line.
On the stop 3, James Curtis for Capital, first down and 10, Baldwin Wallace.
Baldwin Wallace doesn't seem to be in all that big of a hurry as the clock will tick under 2 minutes. They still have all 3 of their timeouts. But you have to remember that they are leading Capital up 24-0, so they really shouldn't be in all that big of a hurry. Waymer with 3 wideouts. The give is to Murray Jr. And Murray Jr. is stacked up and driven down at the 22-yard line. That was a terrific tackle that time by Griffin McKinney, freshman linebacker out of Massillon, Ohio. And they're glad that McKinney's back from injury. And now a timeout is going to be taken, it looks like, by Capital. No, I take that back, by Baldwin Wallace. So 2 timeouts remaining for Baldwin Wallace here in the first half. 1:33 remaining. 24-0 lead for the Yellow Jackets. Coming up at halftime, we'll get you caught up with scores around the OAC. And there are also some pretty interesting games taking place around Division I football, including a big matchup in the Big Ten. Ohio State visiting Penn State in Happy Valley today. And as always, that game is a close one between the Nittany Lions and the Buckeyes. We'll have that score for you and more. Also take a look at the stats from the first half coming up at halftime. Waymer in the shotgun. He'll take the snap. Looking, throwing, caught. Across the 30, down to about the 33-yard line, as making the catch that time for the Yellow Jackets was Jake Hill. And now a little up-tempo here for the Yellow Jackets. 1st and 10 at the B-Dub 33-yard line. Waymer back to throw. Lofts a deep ball. That will be incomplete. Intended target that time was Darius Stokes, but that was way out in front of everybody. So it'll go down as an incomplete pass. It is now 2nd and 10. The ball spotted at the Baldwin Wallace 33-yard line. 1:13 remaining in a first half. And has been well played by Baldwin Wallace so far. Waymer once again on the shotgun. 3 wideouts to the far side, 1 to the near side. Man in motion. Waymer back to throw, trying to set up a screen. Caught. 35, 40. And a nice spin move that time by Victor Ford Jr., as that'll be enough for a Baldwin Wallace first down. They'll stop the clock. They'll restart the clock once the chains have been set, and they have been. Under a minute to play in the second half, or second quarter, I should say. Play fake. Waymer running to the 50, across the 45, down to about the 44-yard line. Reese Waymer, who had a rushing touchdown earlier in this game, showing off the wheels once again. Another first down picked up by Baldwin Wallace. 45 seconds now and counting. Still 2 timeouts remaining for the Yellow Jackets if they so choose to use them. Waymer takes the snap, delivers a shot down the middle, and it's almost intercepted. Getting his paws on the ball that time was Louis Hurston. Not able to make the play there. Stops the clock with 32 seconds remaining in the first half. Oh, boy. Hurston with a great opportunity there to make a play on the ball, but just was not able to reel it in. So after the incomplete pass, the near interception by Hurston, it's 2nd and 10. The ball is spotted at the Capital 44, and now a timeout is going to be taken by Capital. We'll take a timeout as well. 32 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital 0 on athletics.capital.edu. .32 seconds remain in the first half. Baldwin Wallace looking to add to its 24-0 lead over Capital before the end of the first half. Waymer The quarterback for Baldwin Wallace in the shotgun. 4 wideouts to work with. Waymer with the snap. Quick throw. Inside the 40, complete down to about the 34-yard line. Ball is loose, but they will say that the ball carrier was down before the ball came loose. And now Baldwin Wallace will take a timeout, stopping the clock with 25 seconds remaining here in the second quarter. We'll take a brief pause as well. 25 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital 0 on athletics.capital.edu. So after the timeout by Baldwin Wallace, 25 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace up 24-0. 4 wide receiver set. Waymer back to throw. Looking, still looking. Down the sideline, and it's caught at the 10-yard line. Tremendous leaping catch that time by Elijah Arnett, senior wideout out of Akron. 19 seconds to go. They'll wind the clock. No timeout here for Baldwin Wallace. Waymer taking the snap, looking to the end zone, and it is incomplete. He had a man in Vinny LeMayo that time, but just a little too much zip on that ball. LeMayo not able to get to it. And now 7 seconds remain here in the first half. It'll be second and goal from the 10-yard line. Baldwin Wallace does have 1 timeout remaining. Four wide receivers. In at running back is Victor Ford Jr. And now a timeout is going to be taken by Capital, their last of the half. We'll step aside once again. 24-0 in favor of Baldwin Wallace with 7 seconds to go here in the first half. This is Comets football on athletics.capital.edu. Seven seconds to go here in the second quarter. Baldwin Wallace up 24-0, looking to add to this lead before the end of the half. Waymer with 4 wideouts. Victor Ford Jr. in at running back. Back to throw is Waymer. He'll let it fly. It's caught! Touchdown! Baldwin Wallace. Vinny LeMayo, who couldn't make the catch on the previous pass, comes up big right there. And boy, what a fitting end to what has turned out to be a standout first half for these Yellow Jackets. It's been a tough season for Baldwin Wallace in terms of turning the football over at the quarterback position. We talked in the pregame show about how maybe, just maybe, Capital would be able to take advantage of that, but I'll tell you what, Waymer and Marusik have done their job at quarterback. Waymer now with his second total touchdown, had a rushing touchdown, adds a passing touchdown, as the point after is good by Dean Saris. And in the meantime, another large halftime deficit that Capital will face. They had to take it on the chin against John Carroll last week, and right now more of the same against Baldwin Wallace here as 2 seconds remain here in the first half. Coming up at half, we'll get you caught up with scores around the OAC. Also take a look at some scores around Division I football, including the big tilt between Ohio State and Penn State. Another close game between the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions. That game always tends to be competitive, particularly when it's played up there in Happy Valley. So kicking it away will be Dean Saris. He's had a good day today. He's made every extra point. Also has a field goal to his credit here on the afternoon. Cornelius Walters Jr. and Dom Glenn back to receive for Capital, and this will just be a simple squib kick up the middle. He'll be taken by Engel. Engel will simply knee it down there at the 20-yard line, and that'll take us to halftime. A great first half turned in by Baldwin Wallace. They will enter the locker room leading Capital comfortably by a score of 31-0. Coming up on the halftime show, we'll check scores around the OAC, around Division I football, and we'll also take a look at the stats and more from a first half that was dominated by the Yellow Jackets. This is a presentation of Capital Comets football on athletics.capital.edu. We are here at halftime at Bernlohr Stadium, and boy, this is a game where Baldwin Wallace has put on a clinic. It's Baldwin Wallace leading Capital by a score of 31-0 at the half. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stats from this game. 17 first downs have been picked up by that Baldwin Wallace offense as opposed to only 6 for Capital. The main reason, Baldwin Wallace has been able to ground out yards with their great running game. 203 rushing yards on only 22 carries. 160 yards through the air as well for Baldwin Wallace, as compared to only 58 yards on the ground for Capital and 26 yards on the ground for the Comets. Total offense, 363 for Baldwin Wallace, only 84 yards of total offense for Capital. Other statistics of note from the team's perspective: penalties, 3 for 40 yards on Baldwin Wallace, 1 for 5 yards on Capital. Time of possession is pretty much even. Baldwin Wallace 15-50, Capital 14-10. Third down conversions, Baldwin Wallace 3 of 4, Capital 3 of 8. No fourth down conversions for Baldwin Wallace because they haven't gone for it on fourth down today. Capital, meantime, 0 of 2 on fourth down conversions. And red zone scores, Capital 0 of 1. Baldwin Wallace, meanwhile, a perfect 5 of 5. Now on to the individual statistics, beginning with Baldwin Wallace. Another standout day for John Murray Jr., top running back in the OAC. 8 carries, 106 rushing yards, which included a long of 66, 13.2 yards per carry on the day for the senior, John Murray Jr. Another junior has been able to dominate today for Baldwin Wallace, that being Victor Ford Jr., backing up John Murray Jr. today. Ford Jr., 7 carries, 59 yards, or 57 yards, I should say, and a rushing touchdown. He's also got 2 catches for 26 yards on the day. Reese Waymer, the quarterback, 2 carries for 29 yards and a score. DJ Griffiths, 2 carries for 14 yards and a score. Passing, Baldwin Wallace has split up the quarterback duties between Reese Waymer and Joey Marusic. Waymer going 8 of 11 through the air for 170 yards and a score. Joey Marusic, meanwhile, a perfect 4 of 4 through the air, 53 yards. No passing touchdowns for him. Receiving, 4 catches for 80 yards and a score for Vinny LeMayo. Elijah Arnett's got 2 catches for 34 yards. As we mentioned, Victor Ford Jr. with 2 catches for 26. And Rocco Del Verme with 1 catch that went for 10 yards. Now the individual offensive statistics for Capital. Leading rusher in the first half of the Comets was quarterback Trevor Harrison-Ron. 6 carries for 23 yards. Aurelius Walters Jr., 2 carries for 15. Drew Engel, 2 carries for 10. And Lance Matthews, 3 carries that went for 6. Harrison-Ron throwing the football today, 4 of 8 through the air for 26 yards. We've also seen Ben Everson in the game. He went 0 of 1 through the air. No passing yards currently for Ben Everson. And then the receivers for Capital, Zach Combs had 1 catch for 14. Jamal Wiggins, 1 catch for 5. Bennett Zerby, 1 catch for 4. And Aurelius Walters Jr., 1 catch that went for 3 yards. The scoring summary looks like this. Yellow Jackets were able to get on the board thanks to a 16-yard rushing touchdown by quarterback Reese Waymer. That came with 10:48 to go in the first quarter. That gave Baldwin Wallace an early 7-0 lead, and then since that time, it really has been all Yellow Jackets. Victor Ford was able to score from 8 yards out with a little under 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. In the second quarter, 29-yard field goal by the place kicker, Dean Saris. That made it a 17-0 lead. Then it was DJ Griffiths who found the end zone from 8 yards out. That made it 24-0. And then finally, to cap off the first half, and a 10-yard touchdown reception by Vinny LeMayo. That came with 2 seconds to go in the first half, and a fitting end to what was a fantastic first half for the Yellow Jackets, who currently lead Capital by a score of 31-0. Speaking of scores, let's get you caught up with some scores. First, from games around the OAC, a dominating effort by Heidelberg. They lead Wilmington 35-7 with 34 seconds to go in the first half of that one. John Carroll and Muskingum have just gone to halftime. It's the Blue Streaks who lead the Muskies in that one 20-7. 6:53 to play in the second quarter at Marietta. The Pioneers leading the Polar Bears of Ohio Northern 7-3 in that one. And finally, Mount Union up big 28-0 over Otterbein as they are rapidly approaching halftime in that game as well. Those are scores around the OAC. Let's now get you caught up with some scores around Division I football, and we begin with a big tilt in the Big Ten. Number 2, Ohio State, taking on 13th-ranked Penn State over in State College, Pennsylvania. And this, folks, is a really, really close one, as it looks like Penn State has the ball here with a 3rd-and-goal situation late in the fourth quarter. It's Ohio State that currently trails Penn State by a score of 16-14. We will keep you updated with that game as the afternoon progresses. There are only 2 other games involving top 25 teams right now. 7th-ranked TCU has their hands full against West Virginia. The Horned Frogs leading the Mountaineers in that one 31-24 with a little over 13 minutes to play in the fourth. And with 11:30 to play in the fourth quarter, unranked Notre Dame leading 16th-ranked Syracuse 24-17. Coming up later today around Division I football, top-ranked Georgia takes on Florida in the world's largest cocktail party down there in Jacksonville, Florida. That game is scheduled for a 3:30 start. 8th-ranked Oregon will be at California. 9th-ranked Oklahoma State set to take on the Wildcats at Kansas State. Kansas State number 22 in the latest AP poll. 10th-ranked Wake Forest will take their act on the road. They'll be taking on the Louisville Cardinals beginning at 3:30. 17th-ranked Illinois will be heading to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers at 3:30 as well. And 20th-ranked Cincinnati will be heading down to the Sunshine State to take on Central Florida at 3:30 as well. At 4 o'clock, 25th-ranked South Carolina plays host to Missouri. And then coming up in prime time tonight, 3rd-ranked Tennessee will play host to 19th-ranked Kentucky. 10th-ranked USC will head to Arizona to take on the Wildcats at 7 o'clock. At 7:30, 4th-ranked Michigan. They will play host to Michigan State. 15th-ranked Ole Miss heads to Texas A&M. 21st-ranked North Carolina plays host to Pittsburgh at 8 o'clock. And at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12th-ranked UCLA welcomes in the Stanford Cardinal. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll have the start of the second half. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 31-0 here on athletics.capital.edu. About to begin the second half here at Promort Field at Bernlohr Stadium. Hello again, everyone. I'm Charlie Danis. Beautiful day here in Bexley. Beautiful first half for Baldwin Wallace. Not so much for Capital, as Baldwin Wallace will enter the second half sporting a 31-0 lead over Capital. I want to provide you folks with a score update regarding a very important football game at the Division I level. Moments ago, Penn State scoring on a 1-yard rushing touchdown. 13th ranked Penn State now leading second ranked Ohio State 21-16. 9:26 left to play in the fourth quarter. Looks like one of those games that will come down to the final minute, as is often the case between the Nittany Lions and the Buckeyes. We'll keep you updated with what happens with that game as the afternoon progresses. In the meantime, back to our game. Capital will get the ball to begin this second half, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to piece a drive together here and give themselves some momentum. Kick is away. Walters will take it at about the 5. Now he lets it loose. Now there's a scramble for it. Walters is finally able to pick it up, and he'll be taken down at about the 11-yard line. Boy, that play looked ugly right there, as Walters wasn't able to make the catch initially. The ball was on the ground. Dom Glenn was trying to help his teammate out by picking it up himself. Not what you want to see from Capital's special teams right there. And now a very long field to work with for Capital, as the ball will be spotted at the Comet 11-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Comets as we begin play here in the second half. Trevor Harrison-Ron will be in the shotgun with a 3-wide receiver set. Drew Engel in at running back, and the give is to Engel. And Engel will take it to, about the 13-yard line or so, but before being finally taken down on the play by Grant Davis, sophomore defensive lineman out of Ottawa Hills, Ohio. It'll only be a gain of about 2. 2nd down and 8. The ball will be spotted at the Capital 13-yard line. Boy, it continues to be an absolutely pretty day here in Bexley, Ohio. Not a cloud in the sky, blue skies overhead. As you look out at all the trees, all the leaves turning different colors. It is fall. It is Halloween weekend. Perfect day to play football. Engel trying to run it up the gut that time, but he is met by a mass of Baldwin Wallace defenders that time. Sticking his nose in there defensively was Tyler Tobin, junior linebacker out of London, Ohio, among a host of other Yellow Jackets. No gain on the play, so now it'll be 3rd down and 8. The Comets will have the ball at their own 13-yard line. Harrison-Ron in the shotgun. 3 wideouts. Drew Engel, the running back. Harrison-Ron now back to throw. Trying to find some time, and he won't get it. Sacked back at the 3-yard line. Making the play defensively for Baldwin Wallace, Dom Tromba, freshman linebacker out of Painesville. That was a problem for Capital last week. They gave up 9 sacks to John Carroll.
Bring up a 4th down and long.
And now Capital with no choice but to punt the football away here. Tyler Terrell will come on. And he is just about on the back edge of the end zone right there. Meanwhile, standing at his own 44 is Jake Hill. Terrell able to get the kick away, and Hill will take it at the 42, inside the 35, inside the 30, inside the 25, and a nice return there by Hill, so he'll take it all the way back to the Capital 24-yard line. 12:29 left to play in the third quarter as this Baldwin Wallace offense comes back on to the field An impressive first half for the Yellow Jackets. 203 yards on the ground, with 106 of them being put up by John Murray Jr., who owns virtually every rushing record in the Baldwin Wallace book. Back out at quarterback for Baldwin Wallace is Marusik. And in at running back is DJ Griffiths. Speaking of Griffiths, he gets the carry. And right up the gut, inside the 20, all the way down to about the 15-yard line. Very close to a first down. That was a pickup of 9 on the play for Griffiths. And Baldwin Wallace not wasting any time as they are quickly lined up on the line of scrimmage. 4 wide receiver set, play fake, pass, caught. Inside the 10, all the way down to about the 8-yard line or so, as the reception is made by Elijah Arnett. And just like that, it is a first and goal situation for Baldwin Wallace. It's going to end up being first and goal from the 8-yard line. So Baldwin Wallace picking up right where they left off. 31 first half points, and now looking for their first score here of the second half. Marusik with a 4 wide receiver set. Play fake. Marusik running with it, and Marusik is just simply going to say, I'm just going to slide here and live to play another down, as he is ultimately touched up on the play by Diamante Sally. He was trying a run play to the right, was Marusik, but just simply wasn't anything out there for him on the edge. And so now it'll be second and goal after what will end up going down as a 1-yard loss. The ball spot at the 9-yard line. A 4 wide receiver set. Man put in motion. Marusik will take the snap. Looking, still looking. Now will scramble up the middle, and he will slide at the 7-yard line. That's where they deem his slide to start. And that's very important when you're learning the rule of sliding in football, particularly at the collegiate level. They will spot the runner at the spot where they start the slide, not necessarily where the slide ends. So now it's third and goal for Baldwin Wallace from the Capital 7-yard line. And now a timeout's going to be taken by Baldwin Wallace. We'll step aside. 10-17 to play in the third quarter. Baldwin Wallace 31, Capital 0 here on athletics.capital.edu. After the timeout by Baldwin Wallace, it is now third and goal from the Capital 7-yard line. The Yellow Jackets looking to add to its 31-0 lead over Capital. Marusik still in at quarterback. Marusik with a play fake. Throw to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Baldwin Wallace. Elijah Arnett, senior out of Akron, Ohio, with the touchdown reception. And the beat goes on for the Baldwin Wallace offense. First passing touchdown of the day for Joey Marusik. And now on for the point after for the Yellow Jackets is Dean Saris. Saris has been busy kicking extra points today for B-Dub. Snap back, hold down, kick is on the way. It is up, and it is good. We'll take a timeout. 10-13 remaining in the third quarter. Baldwin Wallace 43, Capital 0. This is Comets football on athletics.capital.edu. Yellow Jackets continue to score. Joey Marusik finding Elijah Arnett 7 yards out. And the lead keeps on expanding for Baldwin Wallace, who now leads Capital 38-0 with 10:13 left to play here in the third quarter. Aurelius Walters Jr. will take it at the 4. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Leaps over a man. Over the 40. Almost up to the 45-yard line. Aurelius Walters Jr. with a tremendous return that time. Showing off the speed and the hops as well. Great field position to begin this drive. Let's see if Capital can finally get on the board. Ben Everson will begin this drive at quarterback. Everson will set up in the shotgun. And at running back is Drew Engel. 2 receivers to the far side. Everson with the snap and the hand to Engel. And Engel, he'll be lucky to get 2 yards on that play as he was balled up rather quickly by that Baldwin Wallace defense.
Drew Engel, the ball carrier.
Looks like making the tackle on the play was Frank Sukup, senior defensive lineman out of Painesville. Gain of 2 on the last play by Engel. So now it's 2nd down and 8 for Capital from their own 47-yard line.
2nd down and 8.
Everson in the shotgun. 2 receivers to the far side. Engel, the running back. Everson with the snap, the throw, and it's incomplete.
Pass is incomplete.
Bennett Zerby not able to make the catch along the far sideline, and now it's 3rd down already. So now it's 3rd down and 8. Capital with the ball at their own 47-yard line. Everson in the pistol. 3 wideouts. Engel, the running back. Everson back to throw over the middle. Caught by Walters across midfield. Walters fighting his way towards the 45. And it looks like he will have enough for the 1st down. Nice job by Aurelius Walters Jr. not only making the catch, but having the wherewithal to know where the sticks were and fighting for the needed yards to pick up the 1st down. 1st and 10. Capital at the Baldwin Wallace 45. Everson taking a deep shot. Might have a man. It is incomplete. Zerby was the intended target, but batting it away at the last moment was Anthony Kendall, senior defensive back out of Port Richey, Florida. Second and 10. Capital at the Baldwin Wallace 45. Everson keeping it inside the 40, down to the 35. They'll mark him down at the 34-yard line. Nice run by Everson. That picks up another Capital 1st down.
Jonathan Dixon, the stop.
Coming in at running back will be Lance Matthews. This will end up being a 3-wide receiver set. Combs will stay in at the tight end spot. Everson getting the play in from the Capital sideline. Play clock at 8. 3 wideouts for Everson. Matthews put in motion now on Everson's right hip. They will hand to Matthews. Matthews with a full head of steam across the 30 to about the 29-yard line. As the wind is starting to pick up a little bit here in Bexley.
Miles on the tackle for Baldwin Wallace, 11 Jake Hill.
Checking in for Capital offensively, looks like it's Justin McClellan, senior tight end. 2nd down and 6. Capital at the Baldwin Wallace 29-yard line. Everson, back to pass, over the middle, incomplete. He had Walters, but Walters drops it. So now it leads to 3rd down and 5. 7:28 to play in the 3rd quarter. Capital trying to keep this drive going, looking for their first points of the game as they trail Baldwin Wallace in this one 38-0. Everson in the shotgun once again. Matthews, the running back. And now a timeout is going to be taken by Capital. We'll take a timeout along with them. 7:28 to play in the 3rd quarter. Baldwin Wallace 38, Capital 0. This is athletics.capital.edu. $7:28 to play in the 3rd quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 38-0. Meanwhile, the Comets are trying to keep this drive alive and trying to find the scoreboard for the first time today. Everson, back to pass, looking, and he is stung. He got fumbled, and the ball was fumbled, picked up, and this will go deep into Capital territory as well as Everson is still on his back. The man who ends up recovering the ball was Jonathan Dixon, but boy, I am here to tell you right now that Ben Everson took an absolute pop. He is lying flat on his back right now, being attended to by the Capital training staff. And there are fans here at Bernlohr Stadium that are not only upset that Everson got hit, but that they might have blown a targeting penalty. It looked as though, at least from the vantage point up here, that Everson got hit up high. Luckily for Everson, he's able to get to his feet, and he's going to be walking to the Capital bench under his own power. But he's struggling a little bit, it looks like. Coach Foos going over to him, making sure that he is okay. And boy, another disappointing end to a Capital offensive drive. As the fumble is recovered by Baldwin Wallace. Back in now at quarterback is Reese Waymer for the Yellow Jackets. It's 1st and 10 at the Capital 20-yard line. Pass complete to the 20, around the 15. Penalty flag has been thrown. We haven't seen too many penalties today. There's definitely been an absence of yellow from this game.
Holding on the offense, number 84. 10-yard penalty, previous spot, remains 1st down.
So a holding penalty called against Baldwin Wallace, and this will back things up for the Yellow Jackets. And we'll go back to about the 29-yard line. Or 30, I should say. 1st and 20 for the Yellow Jackets. 4 wide receiver set. Waymer, the quarterback. He'll take the snap, and he will hand it to DJ Griffiths. And Griffiths will take it up to the Capital 19-yard line. I'd be very surprised, given the score, that we will see more of John Murray. unsportsmanlike penalty called against Baldwin Wallace. Boy, things going from bad to worse on this particular offensive drive
Was after the play then.
for Baldwin Wallace. And I don't think a penalty like that is going to make Coach Jim Hilvert all that happy. In his 6th season at Baldwin Wallace, record of 34-14. He has never lost a game against Capital while being the head man at B-Dub. So, after a holding penalty and an unsportsmanlike penalty, it's now 1st and forever. If you want me to be real specific, it's 1st and 34. And now officials' time is called by our head referee, Nick Grigoshin. Talking with some of the other officials just to make sure that everything is on the up and up. And now the clock winds. We're ready to resume play. The ball will be spotted at the Capital 44-yard line after all these penalties that have been put against Baldwin Wallace. And now there's officials' time that comes from one of the line judges from the far side. And now play has been halted even further. There is a congregation of referees near midfield as they are trying to sort out the latest thing on the field.
The foul was 15 yards from the end of the run. It is 2nd down, so we should be on the 35-yard line. 2nd down.
So the ball will now be spotted at the 35-yard line. After all of that, hopefully everything is copacetic going forward. Waymer will set up in the shotgun. 3 wideouts to the near side, 1 to the far side. He'll take the snap, and Waymer will run with it. Makes 1 man miss, and wow, he's able to take it across the 30-yard line all the way down to the 26. Waymer, very shifty fella. 5'10", 170-pounder from Oregon, Ohio. And so now it's going to be 3rd and 15 for the Yellow Jackets. And this will be a false start on Baldwin Wallace. Looked like Cole Bryant jumped out of his stance too soon.
Offense, number 7. Penalty, remains 3rd down.
Cole Bryant, a sophomore, offensive lineman, 6'2", 270-pounder from Lancaster. So now it's 3rd down and 20. This drive has been littered with penalties for Baldwin Wallace. 3rd and 21 from the Capital 31. Waymer, he'll take a shot to the end zone, and it is caught! Touchdown, Baldwin Wallace! Boy, oh boy. Seems like everything that the Yellow Jackets are throwing up is coming down in their favor. What a throw by Waymer as he's able to find Tim Conwell, a freshman wideout out of Avon, Ohio, in the end zone. And so it goes for the Baldwin Wallace offense. Sometimes you just have one of those days where everything you put out there just keeps you rolling. The kick is up, and it is good. Let's take a timeout. 5:12 remaining in the 3rd quarter. It's Baldwin Wallace 45, Capital 0 on athletics.capital.edu. Tim Cromwell, moments ago, finding the end zone, a 31-yard touchdown reception for the freshman from Avon, Ohio. Reese Waymer with his second passing touchdown of the day. Comes with 5:12 remaining in the third quarter. Baldwin Wallace up on Capital 45-0. Aurelius Walters Jr. takes it to the 15, 20, and he will ultimately be taken down around the 22-yard line. While we have a moment, another scoreboard update for you regarding that Ohio State-Penn State game. A little over 5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. And Ohio State has rallied, and they have the lead late, 30-24 with just over 5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter as the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions continue to do battle up in State College, Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, Capital's offense back onto the field. And, boy, the last drive ended in bitter disappointment as Ben Everson went back to pass and tried to convert a third down play. He got popped big time, fumble, and it was ultimately recovered by Baldwin Wallace. So now Jonathan Williams will begin this drive with a run up the gut. He'll take it to about the 25-yard line or so. Capital 0 of 2 on fourth down conversions today. They have moved the ball against this Baldwin Wallace team, but it's just a question now of can they finish? And the answer to that question so far today has been no. Jonathan Williams with a 3-yard gain on the previous play, so now it's 2nd down and 7. The ball spotted at the Capital 25. Harrison Ron will hand off. With the carry is Troy McCleary. And he'll take it to about the 28.
Jonathan Williams, the ball carrier.
So that'll be a 3-yard gain.
Hashim Rashid with the tackle. On the 44, Tyler Tobin.
And so now it'll be 3rd down and 5.
3rd and 5.
Capital with the ball at their own 28-yard line. Harrison Ron in the shotgun. 3 wideouts to work with. He's also got Williams and McCleary as his 2 running backs. Harrison Ron with the throw. Caught by McCleary, and McCleary is going to be short. He'll be knocked out of bounds around the 28-yard line. Good job by Zach Zool, the sophomore linebacker out of Strongsville. And yet another punt attempt upcoming here for Tyler Terrell, and a guy that we have become quite familiar with when it comes to returning the football. That being Jake Hill. He's back there standing at his own 32-yard line. And Terrell muffs it. He's trying to get rid of it. He'll get rid of the kick. This will be a high wobbler that will go out of bounds. And it was caught by Jake Hill, who was able to race over there. And the ball will officially be spotted, looks like, at the Baldwin Wallace 46-yard line. Boy, it could have been a lot worse for Terrell that time. But he was in survival mode that time, just trying to get the ball away. Does his job right there. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets from their own 46, as we're under 3 minutes to play here in the third quarter, 2:55 to play. Baldwin Wallace up 45-0. Man, this has just been an excellent performance by the Yellow Jackets so far. As there'll be a run up the middle to about the 50-yard line. On the carry is Khalid Beeman. He is a sophomore running back out of Rochester, New York. Boy, we have seen a host of ball carriers today. And I think it's fair to say, given the score, that John Murray Jr.'s day is done. A stud workhorse for Baldwin Wallace will get a chance to rest the rest of this game. Beeman with the carry, and he'll take it across midfield down to the 45-yard line.
40, Diamante Sally, the takedown for Capital.
So Beeman in at running back. You would think, given the score, the advantage that Baldwin Wallace holds 45-0, that they're probably going to be wanting to stick with the run here the rest of the way to try to just run the clock out. But then again, we still have one more quarter to play here at Bernlohr Stadium. Marusik in at quarterback. He'll drop back and throw. He got hit, and that is incomplete as it was batted away by Louis Hurston.
Deflected by Louis Hurston.
Marusik had to take some real big pressure up the middle that time, taking a hit as he stood in there to deliver the pass. And that will be a stop on third down. It'll bring up fourth down. And here's something that we haven't said all that much today, if at all. Baldwin Wallace is about to punt. On to punt for the Yellow Jackets is Dylan Kuhlman. Back to receive for Capital is Aurelius Walters Jr., trying to shield his eyes from that bright sun. Walters will fair catch it, and they will spot him at the 10-yard line. That's where that offensive drive will start for Capital.
First and 10 on the Capital 10-yard line.
.123 remaining in the third quarter. Baldwin Wallace up 45-0. As Trevor Harrison Ron and the Capital offense come back onto the field once again. Jonathan Williams in at running back. Aurelius Walters Jr. on an end around, and not that much room. He'll be tackled at about the 7-yard line.
24, Vontae Jackson on the fourth up.
Making the tackle was Vontae Jackson, who has had his fingerprints all over this game. Key stop on fourth down at the beginning of the game. Another pass breakup. Plenty of tackles. Vontae Jackson, a very strong linebacker for this Baldwin Wallace bunch. Loss of 2 on the last play. It's now second down and 12. Capital with the ball at their own 8-yard line as we're just about to tick under 40 seconds remaining in the third quarter. McCleary in at running back. Harrison Ron will take the snap, but before that, whistles and a flag.
Before the snap, false start, offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
The penalty will go against Damian Loya, sophomore offensive lineman out of Mount Pleasant, Michigan. .25 seconds and counting here in the third quarter. Capital will be able to get at least one more playoff here before the end of the quarter. Harrison Ron back to throw from his own end zone, and the pass is caught at the 10. Out of bounds around the 10-yard line will go Sam Pickett, senior wideout out of Milford. And that will probably end up being the final play of the third quarter. We head to the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace still comfortably ahead, 45-0 over Capital. This is Comets football on athletics.capital.edu. Let's begin play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 45-0. We thank you for sticking with us here on this late October afternoon as Harrison Ron back to pass and taken down back at the 2-yard line. R.J. Peggs Jr., sophomore defensive lineman out of Youngstown, former Ursuline product, making the sack. And another punt upcoming here for the Comets. Terrell on for the punt for Capital. Gets it away. It's going to hit out of bounds around the Capital 32-yard line, so a very short field to work with here offensively for Baldwin Wallace. Seems like they've had excellent field position all day long as their offense gets set to come back onto the field. So remember how that Penn State-Ohio State game was rather close and Penn State might have had a shot? Well, Ohio State with an onslaught. 28 points scored in the fourth quarter by the Buckeyes, the latest coming on an interception return by defensive lineman J.T. Tuamalo. Buckeyes are now up by 20, 44-24, with a little over 2:40 to play in the fourth quarter. A run up the middle, across the 20, all the way up to the 16-yard line. As Khalees Beeman showing off some good moves that time. The sophomore from Rochester, New York, getting a look here from the Yellow Jackets late in this game. So after the big run, it'll be now 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. And the give is to Beeman once again. Beeman bulldozing his way across the 10, down to the 9-yard line, taking Capital tacklers with him. Beeman 6 foot, 195, a sophomore. One big question for Baldwin Wallace next year is who's going to get the majority of carries at running back following the graduation of John Murray Jr. Could be Beeman, for all we know, as Waymer, the quarterback, sits in the shotgun. 2nd and 5 from the Capital 9-yard line. Beeman trying to find some running room inside the 10, inside the 5, finally taken down at the 3, but a flag thrown back at about the Capital 10-yard line. Holding penalty called against Nate Samblinet, the junior offensive lineman out of Columbus. So homecoming for the former Dublin Scioto product. So they'll back the ball up to the Capital 19-yard line following the holding penalty. 12:55 to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace 45, Capital nothing. 3 wide receivers to the far side. Beeman with the carry. Inside the 20, inside the 15. Finally taken down at about the 14-yard line. Little extracurriculars after the play as the crowd was looking for a penalty.
56, Tommy Ernst, the tackle.
As Tommy Ernst made the tackle for Capital. So now it'll be 3rd down and 8. Yellow Jackets with the ball at Capital's 14-yard line. 4 wideouts. Back to pass is Waymer into the end zone, and that will be incomplete. His intended target on the play was Jake Novak. That was way over everybody's head. And it looks like the field goal unit will come onto the field for Baldwin Wallace. It's been a good day today for Dean Sars. He's made all of his extra points. And he already has a 29-yard field goal to his credit here on the afternoon. So now he's looking to make his second field goal of the day. Right-footed kicker is Saris. Snap back, hold down, kick is up, and it is no good, but hold on, penalty flags. And I have a feeling that this might be an offsides penalty against Capital. Let's see.
Offside. Defense, number 6. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
That will go against Quincy Edwards, senior defensive back out of Columbus. So the field goal unit will still stay on the field for Baldwin Wallace. But they're going to march this ball forward, which will, in theory, make this kick easier for Saris. So once again, they will line up for another field goal try here. Snap back, hold down. Kick is up, and it is good. Another field goal for Saris. More points for Baldwin Wallace. 11:51 to play here in the fourth quarter. It's now 48-0 in favor of the Yellow Jackets here in athletics.capital.edu. .11:51 to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace now up 48-0 thanks to another field goal by Dean Saris, this time from 26 yards out. Speaking of Saris, he will send it skyward as Aurelius Walters Jr. will take it at the 2, 10, 15, 20, 25, and he will be taken down at about the 26-yard line. Well, yet another chance for the Capital offense to come out onto the field, and with this game well out of reach from a win standpoint, at this point they're just wanting to avoid the shutout, trying to get on the board however they can. Let's see if they can do it on this offensive drive as Trevor Harrison-Ron and the offense comes back onto the field. It'll be 1st and 10 for Capital from their own 27. Harrison-Ron will be in the shotgun. 2 wideouts to the near side, 1 to the far side. Harrison-Ron will hand to McClary. McClary with some running room. Across the 30, across the 35, all the way down to the 37-yard line. That's a gain of 10 on the play for Troy McClary, and that'll be a first down for the Comets.
37 Tanner Pierce, the tackle. And 25 Tyler Smith.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Comets at their own 37 as we tick under 11.5 to play here in the fourth quarter. Trevor Harrison-Ron in the shotgun. Hands to McClary, and McClary, they'll give him 2 yards on that carry, as a matter of fact. All the way down to the 39-yard line. So that'll lead to 2nd down and 8. Capital at their own 39-yard line. Harrison Ron in the pistol. McCleary right behind him, being the tailback in this 3 wide receiver set. Harrison Ron keeps it. Nearly tripped, keeps his balance across the midfield into Baldwin Wallace territory down to the 49-yard line. That's a first down for Capital. 10:15 to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading the Comets 48-0. Trevor Harrison Ron in the shotgun. 2 receivers to each side of the field. It'll be a draw. McCleary with some room. To the 45, to the 40, to the 35, down to the 30, and out of bounds around the 29-yard line. Troy McCleary showing off some moves, some speed, and another first down for the Comets. It hasn't been an issue when it comes to moving the football for this Capital offense. The big issue today has been the inability to finish. And hopefully they can finish on this drive. Good run by McCleary. Now Capital sets up shop, 1st and 10 at their own 20, at the Baldwin Wallace, 29-yard line. Trevor Harrison Ron will be in the shotgun. The give is to Williams, and Williams will burrow his way inside the 30 down to the Baldwin Wallace 28-yard line. So it'll now be 2nd down and 9 for the Comets from the Yellow Jackets 28-yard line. Take under 9 minutes to play here. Harrison Ron in the shotgun. 3 receiver set. McCleary still in at running back. And McCleary has been showing some moves on this drive. Meanwhile, catch made inside the 25. Down to about the 23-yard line is Mike Elmore, a junior from Dayton, Ohio, making the catch.
27, Eric Felder, the tackle for Baldwin Wallace.
So now it'll bring up about 3rd and 4. 3rd and 3, actually. All spotted at the B-Dub 23-yard line. Can Capital get a 3rd down conversion here? That is the big question. Harrison Ron in the shotgun. He will run it straight up the middle, inside the 20, inside the 15. Little spin move, inside the 10, all the way down to the 8-yard line. Trevor Harrison Ron with a strong run up the middle, and another first down for the Comets.
27, Eric Felder, the tackle, along with 50, Jaden McMillan.
Jaden McMillan making the tackle for the Yellow Jackets on that play, but nice, tough running by Trevor Harrison Ron. It's been a long day for the offense, but credit him for continuing to play hard throughout this game. 1st and goal from the Baldwin Wallace 7-yard line. McCleary with the carry, and he's in! Touchdown, Comets! Boy, that's got to feel real good for Troy McCleary, the freshman out of Punta Gorda, Florida, as that young man is able to find pay dirt. Good blocking on the edge by that Capital offensive line. And the Comets are finally on the scoreboard. On for the point after is Tyler Terrell. The kick is up, and it is good. Let's take a timeout. 7:18 remaining in the fourth quarter. The score, Baldwin Wallace 48, Capital 7. Athletics.capital.edu. Well, Capital is finally on the board. 48-7 in favor of Baldwin Wallace, but we're focusing on the positive for right now. Troy McCleary running it in from 7 yards out. 48-7 in favor of the Yellow Jackets with 7:18 to play in the fourth quarter. And now Eric Noble comes in for this kickoff. Noble is senior out of London. He'll send it skyward, and this will be taken at about the 10-yard line by Jack Foley. And it'll be taken up to about the 30-yard line.
On special teams coverage, 13 Nate Yucker for Capital.
So now 7:12 remaining in the fourth quarter. By the way, I want to put a bow on this. A final score for you involving Ohio State and Penn State. Buckeyes end up prevailing 44-31. So the Buckeyes escape State College with a win over the Nittany Lions. We'll have to see how the rest of the day progresses in Division I college football. Remember, the first batch of college football playoff rankings come out on Tuesday night, as this is a badly handled snap right there. The backup quarterback, Ben Hughes, not able to handle the snap from his center, as the junior from Elwood City, Pennsylvania, is able to fall upon it.
Snap. Second down.
They will spot the ball all the way back to the 17-yard line. Loss of 13 on the play. Three receiver set. Hughes will take the snap, and it will be a simple handoff. Taking it to the 22-yard line is Khalees Beeman, who has shown some rather promising tools. And backup duty here for Baldwin Wallace. He's looked pretty good when given his opportunities. So after the run, the ball spotted at the Baldwin Wallace 22. It's now 3rd and 18. The Yellow Jackets would have to get it to their own 40-yard line in order to convert this bad boy. Hughes in the shotgun. Hughes will give off to Beeman, and Beeman stopped the line of scrimmage. Credit Umar Berry, sophomore defensive lineman from Columbus, with making the initial surge, as a host of his teammates were eventually able to catch up to him and make the play. So Baldwin Wallace will punt it away once again as we tick under 5.5 to play here in the fourth quarter. Walters Jr. standing at his own 40-yard line, as Dylan Koyman will punt it away for the Yellow Jackets. And Koyman handles the snap, somehow gets the kick away. The ball was on the ground when he kicked it. It's picked up by Walters, and Walters is then walloped at the 25-yard line. Boy, I've seen some weird plays in my day on a football field. That has got to be one of the more kookiest plays that I've ever seen. It was a bad snap that wasn't handled by Koyman, and sensing the rush that he was getting from Capital, he decided just to quickly kick the ball while it was on the ground, kind of punted it up in the air a little bit, but then Walters, having the foresight, having the ability to know where that ball was, running up quickly and taking the ball and making what was already looking like great field position even better. Credit Walters Jr. with a little good hustle right there that time. He wasn't satisfied with the ball simply trickling out of bounds following that bad punt. He was wanting to get a little more on that play, and because of his effort, instead of the ball being out around, say, the 35, 37-yard line, Capital will now have it inside the Baldwin Wallace 25 to the 24 to be exact, and they have an opportunity here to get some more points before the end of this game. Good job, Aurelius Walters Jr. Meantime, in at quarterback is Brayton Schmidt. And Schmidt will throw That will be incomplete, as Tyson Shuttler was the intended target. Brayton Schmidt had himself a highlight earlier this year as he came in backup relief during the loss to Mount Union. And he was able to throw a passing touchdown. And even though that was a disappointing day for Capital football, Brayton Schmidt can live the rest of his life saying, I threw a touchdown pass against a second-ranked team in Division III football. And it'll be a cool story to tell as he grows older, as Shuttler takes it up to about the 21-yard line.
Tyson Shuttler, the ball carrier.
Under 4:40 to play here in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace 48, Capital 7. The Comets looking for some more points here before this afternoon is over. The shadows starting to creep in a little bit here at Bernlohr Stadium. The temperature is supposed to drop, and I mean drop, later on tonight. This is going to get downright frigid once that sun goes down. Schmidt takes a snap, rolls to his right, to the end zone, and it is incomplete. Aurelius Walters Jr., the intended target, but credit Connor Miller, senior linebacker out of Boardman, Ohio, with good pass defense that time. So now it's fourth down for Capital. 7 yards to go. Brayton Schmidt getting the call in from the sideline. He'll be in the shotgun, joined by Aurelius Walters Jr., Tyson Shuttler in there as well. Two wideouts to the far side. Walters put in motion. Schmidt back to pass, scrambling, trying to step up, and he's taken down at the 21-yard line. Making the tackle on the play was freshman linebacker Tyler Smith out of Grafton, Ohio. That gives the ball back to Baldwin Wallace with 4 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter, and another frustrating day for Coach Foos and his squad. Baldwin Wallace will end up improving to 6-2 overall, 6-1 with an OAC play. Meanwhile, Capital still searching for that first win of 2022. They're going to drop to 0-8 overall and 0-7 with an OAC play with only 2 games remaining this season. Another running back, this time Jack Foley, junior out of Grove City. Attended Bishop Reedy High School. Boy, folks, if you're not familiar with the high school football scene in Columbus, Bishop Reedy, an excellent high school football program. They routinely make deep runs into the playoffs, always in the conversation to win state titles. That is a quality program here in Central Ohio. No gain on the last play, second down and 10 at the 21-yard line. And this time, an excellent run that time by Foley as he able to motor his way across the 30 down to the 32-yard line. That'll be enough for a Baldwin Wallace first down. I would think that the Yellow Jackets in this situation they're just going to keep everything on the ground. They're wanting to run this clock out with this game already well in hand. 2 more games will remain for Capital. And they go to Marietta next week, and then they finish up the season against Heidelberg. Foley with a run to the 32. No gain on the play. Second down and 10. 2:40 remaining in the fourth quarter. Ben Hughes in at quarterback for Baldwin Wallace. He's got a receiver to each side of the field, and Jack Foley is his running back. They're letting that time run down on the play clock. They give to Foley, and Foley's going to get to about the 33. We'll give him 1 yard on the play as we will take under 2 minutes to play
Stop by 65, Evan
in this game.
And Preston
We've
Swift.
had good weather this weekend here in Ohio. Hard to believe, but they're actually calling for warmer weather coming up next week. In early November, no less. Hey, you know what? I'll take it. So now it's 3rd down and 9. Baldwin Wallace at their own 33-yard line. Probably try for one more run play here to keep that clock moving. Foley with the run. Ooh, man, he took a vicious hit.
Jack Foley, the ball carrier.
Preston Sweet, freshman linebacker from Hilliard, Ohio, says, how do you do?
With the hit, 45, Braden Jane.
Brought the wood on that play right there. It's 4th down. And Baldwin Wallace will punt the football away here. 1:09 remaining in this game. Baldwin Wallace has simply brought their A game today as they lead Capital 48-7. Back to receive for Capital is Aurelius Walters Jr.
Aurelius Walters Jr., the punt return.
Standing at his own 26-yard line and waiting the punt. And now a timeout's going to be taken by Baldwin Wallace. Looks like Baldwin Wallace had too many men out there on the field. And so the Yellow Jackets will call a timeout, stopping the clock with 44 seconds to go. Oh, actually, I see what they were trying to do now. They were trying to run the clock down as much as they could, which they did, down to 44 seconds, then called the timeout. It wasn't that they had too many men on the field. 48-7 in favor of Baldwin Wallace. A tremendous day for their offense. We didn't really get to see too much of John Murray Jr., but we didn't really need to see all that much because his teammates were able to pick up the slack. Murray with 106 yards on the ground, but 66 of those coming on a long run in this game. He only carried the ball 8 times. They didn't really need him today against Capital. The punt is away. Walters will let it roll, and roll some more. As it is ultimately down to the 15. 34 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Baldwin Wallace 48, Capital 7. So Capital will head to Marietta next week. That game is scheduled for a 1:30 kickoff, and then we'll have Senior Day for you on November the 12th when Capital plays host to Heidelberg. That game is scheduled for a 1:30 kickoff. We'll get things started with the pregame show beginning at 1:20. Meanwhile, Baldwin Wallace is off to Heidelberg next week. That game is scheduled for a 1:30 kickoff as well. Brayton Schmidt back in at quarterback. And the heel hand to Tyson Shuttler, who will take it to the 17. And that is going to end up being, looks like, the final play of this game.
With Max Simpson for Baldwin Wallace.
And that's your ball game here at Bernlohr Stadium. The final score, Baldwin Wallace 48, Capital 7. When we come back, we'll have the post-game show. We'll examine the stats from this game and put a bow on it. Again, the final score, Baldwin Wallace 48, Capital 7. You've been listening to a presentation of Capital Comets Football here on athletics.capital.edu. A dominating performance put forth by the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets, as Baldwin Wallace prevails over Capital by a final score of 48-7. I'm Charlie Danis. Let's go ahead and take a look at the final statistics from this game. 21 first downs picked up by Baldwin Wallace as opposed to only 12 for Capital. Rushing yards, Baldwin Wallace 273, Capital 130. Passing yards, Baldwin Wallace 206, Capital 44. So total offense ends up computing to 479 yards for Baldwin Wallace, 174 for Capital. Other team statistics of note: 7 penalties for 80 yards for Baldwin Wallace, 3 penalties for 14 yards for Capital. Time of possession basically about even. Capital 30 minutes and 7 seconds, Baldwin Wallace 29 minutes and 53 seconds. Third down conversions: Baldwin Wallace 5 of 10, Capital 5 of 15. Fourth down conversions: Baldwin Wallace never went for it on fourth down. They didn't need to. And Capital 0 of 3 on fourth down conversions. And finally, red zone scores: Capital 1 of 2, Baldwin Wallace a perfect 8 of 8. The individual statistics look like this. Leading rusher for Baldwin Wallace was once again John Murray Jr. He had a long run of 66 yards. He ends up finishing with 106 rushing yards on only 8 carries. Victor Ford Jr., 7 carries, 57 yards and a score. Reese Waymer, the quarterback, 3 carries, 38 yards and a score. And Khalees Beeman, 7 carries for 37 yards. Reese Waymer, the quarterback, probably played his best game of the season. In addition to that rushing touchdown, he goes 10 of 14 through the air for 139 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Joey Marusik also doing a nice job through the air, 6 of 7, 67 yards, and a passing touchdown. Vinny Lemieux was the leading receiver for Baldwin Wallace, 4 catches, 80 receiving yards and a score. Elijah Arnett had 4 catches for 48 yards and a score. Victor Ford Jr. had 2 catches for 26. And Jake Novak had 2 catches for 4 yards. Meanwhile, for Capital, Troy McClary, leading rusher for Capital, 7 carries for 44 yards and a score. Trevor Harrison-Ron, 10 carries for 36 yards. Drew Engel, 5 carries for 14 yards. And Aurelius Walters Jr., 3 carries for 13 yards. Trevor Harrison-Ron, 7 of 11 through the air. No passing touchdowns, no interceptions as well. Ben Everson, 1 of 5 through the air for 8 yards. No passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Aurelius Walters Jr., 2 catches for 11 yards. Zach Combs, 1 catch for 14. Jamal Wiggins, 1 catch for 5. Sam Pickett, 1 catch for 5 yards. Baldwin Wallace dominated this game from beginning to end. It began with a 16-yard rushing touchdown by quarterback Reese Waymer. That came with 10:48 to go in the first quarter. And then the onslaught began. An 18-yard rushing touchdown by Victor Ford Jr. with 2:54 to go in the first quarter. 29-yard field goal by Saris, the field goal kicker. Then let's see here. Griffiths. DJ Griffiths with a 8-yard rush that went for a score. 2 seconds before the end of the half, 10-yard touchdown pass to Vinny Lemieux. Third quarter, E.J. Arnett got on the board with a 7-yard receiving touchdown. Tim Conwell was able to score from 31 yards out on a touchdown reception. Another field goal by Saris. And if it hadn't been for a 7-yard rushing touchdown by Troy McClary, this would have been a shutout for Baldwin Wallace, but thankfully, Capital is able to avoid that fate. What they're not able to avoid is a loss in this game against Baldwin Wallace. With the win, Baldwin Wallace improves to 6-2 overall, and 6-1 with an OAC play. Meanwhile, for Capital, still trying to find that first win of the season. They get 2 more cracks at it. We'll get to those games in just a moment, but now the record is 0-8 overall and 0-7 with an OAC play. Capital will hit the road next week. They'll be at Marietta. That game is scheduled for a 1:30 kickoff, and then we'll have for you Senior Day here at Bernlohr Stadium. As the Comets take on Heidelberg, that game is scheduled for a 1:30 kickoff. We'll get things started with the pregame show beginning at 1:20, and hopefully my broadcast partner Jonathan Brown, who's been under the weather today, He'll be back for that game in a couple of weeks. That'll do it for us from here at Bernlohr Field at Bernlohr Stadium. This is Charlie Danis saying one final time, the final score today, Baldwin Wallace 48, Capital 7. We bid you so long from Bexley, Ohio, and a very happy Halloween to all of you.